Now over here I have the tee pad that was used.
Did you get to step on one?
I didn't step on one because,
ridiculous.
well, I mean, I could have. There's multiple opportunities. They tear the course down, like the spectator ropes and stuff, like immediately after lead card comes through. They're like, so when I walked through, because I like watched lead card for like the first several holes, and then I walked through to catch them at like hole 12 or 13 or something, and like I could have played the course if I wanted, but I didn't because the tee pad guy had handed me these samples, and he handed me a full tee pad to bring home. So we have a full tee pad here.
Oh, you brought that home with you in your car.
In the van. I didn't drive. I flew home, but Jason has
right.
it. So yeah, it got brought home. But we have a tee pad sample in hand. So
Sometimes
this
I forget you own a jet now.
This I do not. I flew Delta. Delta Economy. I was actually sitting next to a could have been confused for a Giant on my way home the final day.
Nice.
I was just tucked in the corner. But there you go, Trev. There's the turf.
Yeah.
I cut this. This was hole 1's tee. Took a knife to it.
I like that. So I like that the turf is a nice, like, tight grain. It's short. It seems fine to me. Like I said, I was telling Hunter this beforehand. If I'm the tee pad company, this is a very small part of the equation when it comes to a tee pad. You got to have a good surface, and I think this is a good surface. But what really matters is what is done underneath that. Is it level? Is it steady? Is it going to over time dent? Like, you have people who do gravel under there, and sometimes they erode. So my worry with like a company like this is they're going to put out a perfectly fine product, feels great, and then they're going to get complaints based on infrastructure that other courses put in to support this piece of turf. And I think if I were them, at least for the Pro Tour, I would want to be in charge of building up the tees completely to whatever their standard is. And Hunter mentioned they sell a base.
Yeah, it looked like on their site they sold bases and stuff.
So like that, I think that is a way larger part of the equation than just the turf you step on.
Well, I think so.
Because that's pretty hard to mess up, like as long as you know what you're doing.
You think. So this has been used at this year Waco, Jonesboro, now here, and another reason I didn't step on it is I found out this is the turf at Ivy Hill, which is I've went and used. It's the new turf at Ivy Hill.
No, I haven't used it.
So I checked it pre-collegiate tournament, and this stuff's great because one of the keys I think with disc golf turf is like if it has a directional, like this is like very interlocked. Like these don't have a direction, if that makes sense.
It's
the
Bermuda.
Turf. But if like ones that have a direction can like over time get worn down and become slick. This you feel resistance both ways, which I think is very important to where like that helps with the longevity. Where if it's rainy, muddy,
is the whole surface that light?
Yeah, like the entire.
Because what's interesting,
like the heat, I just like the turf we have right at the warehouse,
right? Well,
where it takes like multiple men to carry.
The difference is there's no rubber filament.
Yeah,
and the reason you have that rubber in turf is mostly for padding, for cushion, to reduce concussion, and it also kind of also levels the surface because your grass can get all bent around, and that is what you rake to kind of like level it out. So I will say the most interesting thing is like those turf surfaces are meant to last a really long time because they rely so much on that rubber that like you can just add more, rake it. These are just relying on the fibers of the grass, which are just kind of stitched into this surface beneath. So I'm curious to see how quickly these will wear out.
I have no idea.
Because like if I do that, like I'm going to get pieces that fall out. So if you're just throwing and throwing and throwing, I'd be interested to know over time how much they wear, and then like you got to replace the whole tee pad. There's no way to
I have no idea.
maintenance this turf.
Now I will say the tee pads.
Good,
the tee pads. We're not doing an ad read here or
this
anything.
This is turf management.
But let me just
okay.
Stuff.
Listen, whenever we get to standardized baskets, which oh my gosh, did you see some of the spit outs? Holy cow!
Yeah,
the veterans baskets were thrown.
I think the veterans are the anti-prodigy,
dude,
because the chains are too light.
Yeah, I'd say they throw out like good putts. I mean, I was holy cow. The one who was it that almost had two? I think it was Antela. Had some that were just. He had one chuck back at him. Paul had one that was like hilarious, like just dead center. Just see you later.
One 5 foot by 10 foot tee pad is $250,
which isn't that bad.
So like if you just have to replace the top surface, that's not that ridiculous. Now if that's once a year,
it depends on how often.
That's pretty bad.
Is it lasting you 5
if it
years?
lasts you 5 years, that's not bad at all. So I don't know, but hey, I brought it home. You know,
Yeah.
and no, the turf, like the full tee pad, I literally just like you just picked it up, like it was 10
Yeah,
pounds.
well, that is nice that they're easier. Like I feel like I could order those, just put them in myself.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Well, we might put one in our store.
Okay, so on the ground notes here, just some things I noticed being on the grounds
Okay.
at Music City. First off, Macbeth effect, very real, because again,
Okay.
stacked lead card. So everyone, that was one good thing, and why I saw some people commenting about like it seemed like there was a big gallery at Music City. Everyone was watching one card.
I would say drone shots. Now you tell me what you saw. I would say drone shots. It looked like 200 to 300.
I would guess 4-ish.
Okay.
So there was always people in the vendor village.
Yeah.
AB had a solid 20 to 25 people on his card.
Good looks.
And there was people spread out, and the way general admission worked is like, which I'll talk about this in a second, but like you couldn't see. Pretty much every hole had some part you couldn't quite see.
Okay.
So people were being picky and choosy. So like, while I would say 95% of people were watching lead card, not everyone was on one hole.
Okay.
So like hole 1 and 3 were back to back. Most of general admission didn't go to hole 2 because you could have, but it would have been very tight. So instead, people just jumped to hole 3 to try to get in the front. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of like jumping. So the gallery was split a little bit, but it was a solid gallery. I was impressed. There was enough people out there that you didn't feel weird if you were cheering.
You get the Alabama crowd. Tennessee is a big disc golf place, so it makes sense.
But
I will say somebody dropped a best. I think it was one of the commentators, might have been Brian, dropped a best Tennessee disc golfer ever label on Dickerson,
I mean, who's to argue with it?
the man with 3 United States championships.
Oh, Shoestrick? Does he claim Tennessee though, or does he claim Georgia?
What the heck are you talking about?
Oh, he lives in Georgia now.
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean he's like born and raised Tennessee. He's like he's a Tennessee Vols fan.
I would claim him. I would claim him Tennessee. But I'm just saying that could have been.
Will Shoestrick's my Tennessee goat.
That's a good argument. That's a good tweet.
He's my Tennessee goat.
And I think it's hard to argue against him. I mean, has Chris ever been the number 1 player in the world?
Chris has 2 disc golf pro tour championships. He's playing in a tougher era. He's got 2.
He has a U.S. title.
He just has 1 major.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's the 1 major. If Chris had 2 majors, I'd probably
Nope, 2 Champions Cup and USDGC.
I'm still gonna give it to Will because I love Will.
He has Champions
If
Cup.
he gets
and
a third
USDGC.
one though, I'm sorry. It's not gonna happen.
I think he only has 2. I think it's just Champions Cup. and
But what
USDGC.
I always have with Shoestrick is the what if argument. You know.
But they were also saying
his
it
prime,
in
his prime was special, man.
They were also saying like some of Chris's stats, like he's the greatest Tennessee golfer. Like when he's in Tennessee is how I took that statement.
I took it as like from Tennessee, like the guy like born and bred in Tennessee hills.
Yeah, he has Champions Cup, USDGC are his 2.
He's had a good career.
But then, yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of pro tours and stuff. So, anyways,
Will's a goat.
but anyways, we had the Macbeth effect, though. What I was saying is you had lead card tee off, and like we said, you had Gannon Burr, you had Simon Lazard, you had Chris Dickerson, and you had Paul.
Yeah,
A lot of fan favorites, okay?
Yeah.
Paul's roar when they announced him on hole 1
He's different.
probably close to twice as loud.
That's a good little reminder because I didn't know what that was going to be like these days because like I've been wondering the last few months just like is that gonna just like died down a little bit like
No.
what does this fan base still look like? It's like Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
you
like
forget.
you had everyone was so like, and that was also the thing I was
Dude,
asked
I hope
about
he gets in
most
contention at
in the
Worlds.
vending booth was like everyone was just excited that Paul was in contention. So when
Yeah.
Paul was announced, it was very loud. The vendor area. So this is another important note, which I've already talked about this a little bit. There was an actual entrance with a gate and workers to get into the event.
Wow.
Which I know that doesn't sound like much.
That sentence is just
But
so
as
funny.
someone who's been
there
to
was
Pro
an
Tours-
actual gate.
Like as someone who's been to Pro Tours previously, and this is my first Pro Tour I've been to like this
long
year
time,
in a
yeah.
while, like I walked up, I checked in with a person who like told me like information about the course, information about all that, gave
That's
me my
great.
like spectator pass. They scanned a QR code on my phone for my ticket, and then you had to check in with them every day. And like I said, post Natalie Ryan,
Does your ticket go to Apple Wallet?
no, it was on Eventbrite.
Lame.
Post Natalie Ryan, there was even bag check security. Like it was. I felt like I was entering an actual
things
event.
happening.
There was things happening.
Love it.
I know that sounds like a funny. If
It
you've been
is
to
funny.
any other event, like any other non-disc golf event, that sounds funny.
Yeah.
Big deal for disc golf.
is a
Felt
big
like. The vendor area was open to the public, which I liked.
That's
like you
cool.
didn't have a ticket to the event.
And then
to
you
get to
might
the
get
vendor
there
area.
and decide to buy a ticket. I
Yeah.
like that. Good play.
And it was also I think this is why they redesigned the course as they did. Although hole 18 kind of was cheeks. you should probably be glad it came
Yeah.
down to, especially the final day. It was probably like a 35-mile-an-hour headwind.
Yeah.
Like people were just getting bodied on hole 18. Anyways, it was right where everyone had to walk in. So it was like they funneled everyone to the vendor area. You walked through the vendors, which was
Was
great.
it pretty busy in the vending village?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I got to meet a ton of people, ton of you guys who listen. I appreciate all of you. It was a great time. And I wanted to mention there was definitely a value difference from general admission to VIP, from parking to how much golf you got to watch. Like general admission was worth it because I paid for my general admission ticket. Worth it. I got to see enough golf to like. Well, I didn't because of my son, but had I, like, access-wise, I walked the entire course once. So access-wise to see all the holes, you got to see plenty of golf. But it was like general admission, we parked at a high school, and you had about a 0.3-ish mile walk to the course. So you had to walk. VIP, you parked at the course.
Yeah.
Then general admission, they had like 6 different areas you could get to, and all of them you could see like hole 1, you could see the tee shot and you could see the basket off in the distance, but you like couldn't get close to it. Hole 3 was similar, like you could see everything happening, but you weren't right in on the action. There were some holes where you couldn't quite see the tee, but you could see everything else, or some holes where you could see the tee, you couldn't quite see the basket. So like you saw plenty of golf, but you weren't watching every single shot. That wasn't going to happen in general admission. VIP, you were behind the card, more traditional disc golf gallery, walking with them, and you were watching every single shot.
Right.
So there was a definite value difference from general admission to VIP, which I know a lot of people have asked, like, is VIP worth it? What should we do? You know what I'm saying? And so yes, VIP is worth it because like you could see most of the course with general admission, but like if you're going as a diehard disc golf fan, or especially like I want to see every shot AB throws this weekend, you get the VIP pass. So I think that was also an important thing to note on the ground, because from a distance it's easy to be like, just buy general admission. What's the like why do you want? But like the parking would have been like it would have been nice to have a VIP pass.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like it.
now let's update the
I gotta get out
manufacturer's
to a
cup.
pro tour. I feel like a fraud.
It was awesome.
I've been to a few majors now.
It wasn't USDGC. Let's clarify.
No, but
that.
like I
But it was
gotta
awesome.
get out there. I gotta get out to one so I can like have the perspective.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Which one should I go to? Comment below.
There you go. Comment below.
Des Moines.
We'll send Trevor to one.